We begin with the elementary school shooting in Texas. Crosses with the names of the victims are now part of a growing memorial outside that school as the community mourns the lives lost. And it was a night of vigils across Texas as well. Family, friends, and strangers gathering to pray and try to make sense of the mass shooting of children. We're live on air and always streaming on CBS News Miami with the CBS News app. Good afternoon. I'm Keith Jones. Investigators say they have a timeline now for how the attack unfolded, but are now facing questions about the police response. CBS 4's Danya Backus is in Uvalde with the latest.
Most gracious.
The Uvalde community gathered for a vigil full of pain and prayer. Governor Greg Abbott embraced a grieving police officer as new questions arise about the response to one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history.
Obviously, this is a situation we failed in the sense that we didn't prevent this mass attack. But I can tell you those officers that arrived on the scene and put their lives in danger, they saved other kids.
The public safety director says the 18-year-old shooter was inside Robb Elementary School for 40 minutes to an hour before a tactical team broke into the classroom and killed him. He had murdered 19 children and 2 teachers. He sent messages about his plan over Facebook before shooting his grandmother, taking her truck, and barging into the school.
He went down a hallway, turned right, then turned left, and there was 2 classrooms that were adjoining. And that's where the carnage began.
Here at Robb Elementary School, there are crosses for each of the victims. Today was supposed to be the last day of school before the start of the summer vacation. Instead, the community is mourning. Jacinto Casares lost his 10-year-old daughter, Jacqueline, a little girl he says was full of love and life.
She would do anything for anybody. And to me, she's a firecracker, man. It comforts me a little bit to think that she'd be the one to help her friends in need.
He also questioned why an 18-year-old would be allowed to buy an AR-15 style assault rifle, a question President Biden is asking Congress to answer as well. The president says he'll visit this community in the coming days, hoping to bring whatever comfort he can. Danya Backus, CBS News, Uvalde, Texas.
Meanwhile, the NRA begins its annual meeting tomorrow in Houston. That's about 4 hours from Uvalde. Former President Donald Trump, as well as Texas Senator Ted Cruz, are expected to speak at the event, and the NRA will not allow anyone to bring guns into this venue when former President Trump is speaking tomorrow afternoon. We have also learned that the sentencing trial of the Marjory Stoneman Douglas shooter, prospective jurors will not be explicitly asked their feelings about the Texas massacre. The judge ruled yesterday that the jurors can be asked general questions about the school shootings, but nothing specific, at least without approval. There is no jury selection today or set for tomorrow. Gun safety advocates are protesting outside the U.S. Capitol, demanding Congress take action in the wake of the elementary school massacre. Inside, senators are lobbying their colleagues to support legislation, including a bill on universal background checks. CBS source Skylar Henry has the details.
Action! 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 Action!
Victims of gun violence and gun safety supporters gathered outside the U.S. Capitol demanding change.
They have enabled this. They are enabling gun violence with their inaction.
Senator Chris Murphy has been pushing for gun safety laws for the past decade, since the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in his state.
Today, we will be engaged in bipartisan conversations to try to find a path forward to make our streets safer, to make our schools safer.
Hundreds of people are here calling on lawmakers to pass meaningful gun control legislation. Earlier today, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said that he'll allow his Senate Democratic colleagues more time to try to come up with some measure that will gain bipartisan support, meaning a vote wouldn't happen until after the Memorial Day recess.
Our hope, even amidst our deep skepticism, is that during this week, Democrats and Republicans at long last will come to agree on something meaningful.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz went to Uvalde to attend the public vigil, and he slammed Democrats for politicizing the shooting.
I don't think there's anything worse on planet Earth than a monster who hurts little kids. But I'm also going to talk about the evil of the politicians who see a crime like this and immediately think this is an opportunity.
Cruz says he will still attend the NRA convention in Houston Friday, despite calls for the organization to move this year's event out of Texas.
What Democrats in the press try to do in the wake of every mass shooting is they try to demonize law-abiding gun owners.
The NRA said it would use its convention to pray for the victims, and committed to making schools secure. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
That same group that organized the 2018 March on Washington in the wake of Parkland shooting is planning another march in D.C. that'll be scheduled for June 11th. And of course, stay with CBS 4. Continuing coverage of the elementary school shooting. We'll keep you updated on the very latest on air and on CBS News Miami, as well as CBSMiami.com.